What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm KobokoPlays, and in this video, I'll be going through my list of the top 5 killers to level up as a beginner. Before we begin, I'm just going to have a quick disclaimer. This is my personal list of what I think are the most important killers to level up when starting out. Some of you may disagree with my list, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone has their own unique playstyle, and depending on that, they might be able to find different perks which are more useful to them. In this video, I will go through all 3 of the killer's unique perks. However, I will only go into depth into the perks which I think are actually useful. As I go through each perk, I'll be putting screenshots of the description of the perk. So if I go through it too quickly, or if you want some more information, be sure to pause the video and have a read through it. At the time of making this video, the Spirit has been released on the PTB but has not hit the live servers yet. I will talk about her later on, but it's too early to tell how powerful her perks will be when combined with others, and so I decided not to include her in the list for now. And now, without further ado, let's go on to the list. Coming in at number 5, we have the Nurse, who brings 2 good perks, the first of which is a Nurse's Calling. This perk reveals the aura of survivors who are healing within a 28-meter radius, which is slightly smaller than the terror radius of most killers. This perk can also reveal downed players who are being healed, similar to Deerstalker. This perk is amazing on the Nurse, since you can blink right on top of the healing survivor for an easy hit. It's still strong on other killers however, by helping you find and keep track of healing survivors. The Nurse's second good perk is Thanatophobia, which slows repair, healing and sabotage speed for each downed, injured or hooked survivor for a total of up to 15%. This is a good alternative to Hex Ruin if you don't like the risk that comes associated with Hex perks. It's also a great pick if you often slug or chase different survivors, since you will be able to keep the survivors injured and therefore keep the action speed reduced. The Nurse's last and weakest perk is Strider, which makes survivors' breathing noises louder, making them easier to find. I'd recommend avoiding this perk however, since there are stronger tracking perks such as Nurse's Calling and Whispers. At the number 4 spot, we have the Hillbilly, who has one strong perk, Enduring. This perk increases the rate of recovery from stuns by 75%. This includes pallet stuns as well as the stun from Decisive Strike. This allows you to go for more risky hits at pallets without having this bigger penalty if you happen to get stunned. This perk is great for killers who are prone to being pallet looped, such as the Wraith or Freddy. The Hillbilly's second perk is Lightborn, which increases the time it takes to get blinded, as well as reducing the recovery time from getting blinded. This perk is only worth taking if you see in the lobby that all survivors will be bringing flashlights, otherwise I'd advise picking a different perk. The Hillbilly's last perk is Tinkerer, which gives you a notification and removes your terror radius for 12 seconds when a generator reaches 85% completion. This perk is only useful on killers who are able to reach the generator before it's actually completed, meaning the Hillbilly and Nurse. The remaining killers would have trouble reaching the generator in time and would be better off taking a different perk. Next up at number 3 we have the Trapper, who has 2 strong perks. First up is Brutal Strength, which increases the speed of breaking pallets and damaging generators by 20%. This perk is pretty much a must-have on any killer who doesn't have a way to deal with pallets. Anyone but the Nurse, Huntress, Hillbilly and Leatherface will benefit greatly from this perk. However, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't use this perk on these killers at all. For example, Hillbilly and Leatherface have their chainsaws which they can use to break pallets quickly. However, until you're able to predict when the survivor will drop a pallet, having Brutal Strength can be useful. This perk also has great synergy with Enduring, since it will let you quickly break the pallet and continue the chase if you get stunned. The Trapper's second good perk is Agitation, which allows you to move 18% faster as well as giving you 12-meter increased terror radius when carrying a survivor. This is arguably the better alternative to Iron Grasp, since they both allow you to reach about the same distance. However, Agitation will get you to hooks faster. You will have to deal with the wiggle effect more so than with Iron Grasp, and will have to pay extra attention to make sure you don't walk into walls or other objects. The Trapper's last perk is Unnerving Presence, which increases the chance of skill checks appearing by 10%, as well as reducing their success zones by 60%. This perk is really good against Decisive Strike, since it makes it really difficult to hit the skill check, but apart from that, it needs other synergies to be viable. Against good survivors, you will have to pair it up with another skill check perk, such as Hex Lullaby, or run it with the Doctor since his ability allows skill checks to appear anywhere on the screen. At the runner-up spot, we have the Hag, who brings 2 strong perks, the first one being Hex Ruin. This perk gives a 5% regression penalty to generator repair for good skill checks, as well as making great skill checks gives 0% bonus progression. This perk has the potential to be stronger than Thanatophobia in dragging out the game, however that is only true if you're able to keep your hex from being cleansed. This perk is a must-have at higher ranks to stop gen rushing and is really strong against new players who are still getting used to hitting skill checks. With this perk you don't need it to last you until the end of the trial. Even if it stays up for a few minutes, that's a few minutes that was spent looking for the totem instead of repairing generators. The hag's second strong perk is Hex Devour Hope, which gives you a token for every time a survivor is rescued off of a hook while you are 24 or more meters away from the hook. At 2 tokens, you gain 10% movement speed for 10 seconds after hooking a survivor. At 3 tokens, your hits put survivors instantly into the dying state, and at 5 tokens, you are able to mori down survivors. This perk alone has the potential to win games, however that's only if you're able to defend your totem long enough for it to get at least 3 stacks. If destroyed before 3 tokens, the perk was essentially useless. Speaking of useless perks, the hag's last perk is Hex the Third Seal. This perk is useless, probably the weakest perk in the entire game. Even if it wasn't a hex, it will still be the most useless perk in the game, but I digress. Before I reveal my number 1 pick, I have one honourable mention, the pig who brings the perk Make Your Choice. This perk procs when the survivor is rescued off a hook when you are 32 or more meters away, and gives the rescuer the exposed status for 60 seconds, meaning that if hit, they will be instantly placed into the dying state. This perk has a cooldown of 60 seconds. This is a good alternative to Devour Hope since it's not a hex so it's more reliable, but only gives you 60 seconds and can only affect one survivor at a time. This perk also encourages going after different survivors, so use your own judgment whether to make use of the perk or try and catch the rescued survivor instead. And finally, at the number 1 spot we have Leatherface, who has one really strong perk and 2 good perks. Starting with his best perk, Barbecue and Chili. After hooking a survivor, all survivors which are 40 meters or more away from the hook are revealed to you for 4 seconds. As if that wasn't strong enough on its own, for each time a survivor is hooked for the first time in the trial, you gain a stack of 25% bonus blood points, meaning that you could be getting double blood points if you hook each survivor at least once. This is the killer version of the perk We're Gonna Live Forever. However, this perk actually has a use in the game compared to We're Gonna Live Forever, which many of you pointed out in my top 5 survivors video. This perk makes farming blood points insanely quick, since on average killers usually score more blood points per trial compared to survivors. In the trial, this perk helps you not waste as much time searching for survivors, as well as letting you know if there are survivors close to the hook that might go for the save. Leatherface's second perk is Franklin's Demise, which causes survivors to drop their items whenever they're hit, as well as consuming 10% of its base charges. This perk is good against teams full of items, especially flashlights, which can be really annoying to deal with. However, you shouldn't leave this perk on your build the whole time. If you don't see any items in the lobby, you should probably swap it out for something different since you wouldn't get much use from it. Leatherface's last perk is Knockout, which makes the aura of downed survivors visible to other survivors only when they are in the 16-meter radius of them. This is a bread and butter slugging perk, making sure that the downed survivor isn't picked up immediately after you leave, giving you some time to find the next survivor. Now I'll quickly run through the remaining killers. The Doctor has a decent perk, Overcharge, which can help to slow down the game. However, I find that Ruin or Thanatophobia work better for my playstyle personally. Freddy has the perk Remember Me, which is really strong when paired with No One Escapes Death or other late game perks. The Wraith has the perk Bloodhound, which is a decent tracking perk, however it only helps when the survivor is actually injured. The Huntress brings the perk Hex Huntress Lullaby, which can be strong when at 5 stacks, but seasoned survivors will still be able to hit the majority of those skill checks. Michael Myers has the perk Dying Light, which can work really well if you have a 1 survivor mori. If you can hook your obsession early and then mori them on the next down, the remaining survivor's action speed will be severely crippled. The Clown's perk Bamboozle helps you from getting looped through windows, especially at the Killer Shack. The Spirit has 3 perks which all sound good on paper. Spirit Fury will be really strong when paired with Enduring. Hex Haunted Ground could be paired or used as an alternative to Devour Hope, and Rancor could be used as an alternative to Barbecue and Chili, although I can't see myself giving up all these free blood points. With that said, you've reached the end of the video. Did you agree with my list? And if not, leave your list in the comments below and explain why. If you know anyone that's starting out as killer and is unsure where to begin, be sure to share this video with them. I've also made a top 5 survivor list which I will link in the description below. Thanks for sticking around this far. If you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Now go out there and start collecting those salty survivor tears. Have fun.